Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Abby. If you're new here, in today's video I have 8 tips for back to school. It's that time of year where I feel like everyone's getting ready to go back to school, or maybe you already started your semester or your school year. The tips I have for you can be used for any grade or any level. I do want to say the tips are kind of more focused on a heavy course load, so maybe high school, college. But like I said, they're very universal. They could be used any grade, any level. I did graduate last year with my bachelor's degree, and these are like my own personal tips that I used during my university. The first tip I have for you is to organize your space. What helped me the most when I was in college was I had a certain spot where I would do my homework and study. So for example, in my room, I'd have a desk, and that's mainly where I did my homework. That's where I studied. If I didn't study in my room, I would study downstairs in the dining room table. And when you organize your space, you know, like have a pencil holder, have like a little place where you can keep all your textbooks or your folders, so you know where it is and you're not scattered around. Because I feel like when your space is messy and unorganized, it's hard to focus on your homework or your classwork. So what helped me the most, and which I think will help you, is if you have a certain study spot, like a desk in your room, or if you have an office, set up an office, or if you work downstairs, just have a certain spot where you feel comfortable doing your homework or where you have alone time where you can study. The next tip I have for you is time management. Let's just say you are taking online classes only. And when you're taking online classes only, it's kind of just more tasks and meeting a deadline. So when you have to meet a deadline, you know, mainly in college, not really sure about high school, but mainly in college, the deadline's Sunday evening. So when you're taking online classes, it all kind of like jumbled, like gets together where you could be struggling if you procrastinate. So one of the best things you can do is set a certain time or day for each class. So let's just say you're taking Psych 101. Tell yourself, I'm going to do psychology on Mondays. Let's just say you're taking algebra. I'm going to do algebra on Tuesdays. Let's just say you're taking calculus. You're going to do calculus on Tuesdays. Mainly in the mornings, like let's focus on the mornings. So I'm going to do psych Monday mornings. I'm going to do calculus on Tuesdays. Speech class, I'm going to do speech class on Wednesdays. And I would try to, if you can, try to get all your homework or coursework done by Friday, so you have the weekend to kind of relax and chill. Also, when it comes to time management, if you do have gaps in between classes, that's a good way to work on your homework. I remember when I was in college, I had like a 2-hour gap, and I would just go to the library and get assignments done for my online classes, and I'd always try to get it done before Friday so I could have the weekend to do nothing, because you know, it's not fun procrastinating. The next tip I have for you is to set goals. It's really important in the beginning of the semester or the school year or the quarter, whichever you work, is to set goals. For example, this is some of my goals that I did last year. This was my last semester of college. My first goal was to finish the semester strong, to step out of my comfort zone, to apply to a career-related job. It's important to set goals in the beginning of the semester. That way you're focused on the goals, and you could end the semester very strong if you stay dedicated and focused. And when it comes to goal setting, just make sure you're specific and don't set too many goals. I would stick to like 5 goals tops, because if you set more than 5, I feel like you'd struggle to meet those goals. The next tip I have for you is to develop study techniques. When it comes to studying, you want to think what works with you and your brain. I know a lot of people use flashcards. That's a really effective way. I know a lot of people use Quizlet to study. For me personally, the best way for me to study was making flashcards and like rereading them to myself. I would use Quizlet to study, but I feel like that wasn't the most effective way. The main subject I think I studied for was math, because I am not a math whiz. I wish I was. But for me to study for like statistics or calculus, I would have to like keep practicing and practicing and practicing the problem. For me to study for like math, I would take practice tests and practice the problems over and over again, because for me specifically, the practice tests were very similar to the real tests. And I'm sure on YouTube there are so many ways to study. You just got to find what works for you. Oh, another good way to study groups. Especially if you're in like a more difficult class, definitely join a study group. Tutoring's there. The next tip I have for you is to stay organized. To stay organized, you want to make a checklist for each class. Use your calendar and mark important dates and deadlines for a checklist for each class. This is what I would do during my semesters. I would write the class name and all the assignments I had to do for the class. So for example, this is business law, the assignments, stuff like this. And then when I would put like a little like circle or a square next to it, and when I finished it, I'd cross it off. It's like I did this weekly, and I also would count down the semester. So like this would be week 5, you know. Yeah, so like I said, you want to have the class name, the homework or assignments you have to do, and when you finished it, just cross it off. Next tip I have for you is probably the most important tip, and I really want you guys to take this advice, but do not be afraid to ask for help. There are people there to help you. You're in school for a reason. There's tutors. For me, I knew I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't a math whiz. I had problems with math, but I asked for help. I would go to my professor after class. I'd go to tutoring. I remember I'd go to tutoring every week for certain classes, and I stayed ahead. If I didn't go to tutoring, I'd fall behind, and then, you know, it's not worth having to retake a class because you don't want to ask for help, if that makes sense. Especially if you're in college, because college classes cost money, and, you know, maybe some people can't afford to retake a class. But yeah, definitely don't be afraid to ask for help. There are people there to help you, trust me. The tip I have for you is to focus on self-care. When we go back to school, or when you're back into college, it does take a lot of your time, and you know, school and college can be very stressful, so you want to focus on self-care. And I will always say focus on self-care on my channel, because my whole channel is based on self-care. When I was in college, I started to focus on my self-care, I want to say like my junior year of college, but it's really important to focus on self-care. So how you can do that is just, you know, set a certain day where you focus on yourself only. For example, self-care Sundays. Sundays is a good way to kind of like reset or recoup, but just focus on self-care, and definitely try not to stress out so much about school. The last tip I have for you guys is to have a positive mindset. Stay positive when it comes to school, college, your coursework. Stay positive. I know it's really easy to be negative, but you know, when you're positive, more positive things will come out to it. So tell yourself, I'm going to ace this class. I'm going to pass this exam. I'm going to end this semester quarter strong. Stay positive. You guys got this. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope these tips can help you, and I really wish you guys the best with your semester. Remember, you got this, and ask for help. And Loki says bye. Bye.